Hello everyone, this is Voudoun with Child of Light, and what I'm going to show you today is the demo. So I've already reviewed the demo and the full game in writing on my website, gamestorylife.com, so if you want you can go and take a look at that. I'll try to remember to put a link for this video so that you can get there easily. So what you can immediately see with Child of Light is the incredible art style. It reminds me a lot of what ArenaNet did with Guild Wars 2, which is where they did concept art, but then instead of going into an attempt to create really realistic graphics, they instead made a virtue out of their concept art design and everything that emerged through that. And I get the impression that Ubisoft here have done the same thing. It has a similar kind of feel to it, a similar kind of look to it. It looks illustrated. And it's good to see people doing things like this. As graphics cards have become more and more powerful, some people become obsessed with getting to photorealistic graphics and not being creative with the graphics. It's every bit as possible to be creative with the graphics as it is with the sound or anything else. So it's good to see that being done. So we'll take a quick look at the options first. And we have here ability to rebind controls. So we've got keyboard and controller. I'm playing on keyboard and mouse, so I'll stick with that. And there are controls here for different characters. There's controls here for Aurora, the hero, or heroine if you prefer. We have controls here for Igniculus and Igniculus 2-player controls. So what you can do is actually have a second player just controlling Igniculus while you control Aurora, or the other way around. So let's go back to Aurora and move over to settings. So there's nothing too extraordinary here. There are a few things that are missing, anti-aliasing and of course anisotropic filtering, but that's really because it's just not needed for this game. It's in a 2D form, so it doesn't really apply in the same way. It's also an illustrated style, so it's again perhaps not quite so essential. The one thing that does surprise me it's missing is colorblind mode. So there's no sign of that there, which kind of takes me by surprise a little. I don't know if it's possible or for Ubisoft to include that, or whether it's an oversight, but if you can do things like that, then of course these days you should, because it just increases the number of people who can play your game. So what we've got here with Child of Light is, I'm playing the demo, so the demo takes place entirely within Chapter 4. And Chapter 4 is a really kind of self-contained chapter. It doesn't give away any of the story, so there's no spoilers here, so you can play it, I can show you it almost with impunity. I say almost, of course, nothing's perfect. And so we come down in the village, and we have Igniculus here, the firefly that I'm moving around. He can be used to pick up things like that, but he can also be used to light areas or gain access to places or items that we wouldn't otherwise be able to reach. So we have someone's home here, nobody in, and there's a chest. So if I put Igniculus over it, we can see the right mouse button is highlighted in gold, and that's the mouse symbol that's appeared. So if we press the right mouse button, we get the contents, a healing tonic in this case. So let's keep exploring the village, see what's around. Lots of crows. That one's wearing a wig, it's unusual. And here we see another chest up the top of the screen. There's a crow up there too. This is a good opportunity to show that you can also use Igniculus to reach long distance items. So, same principle. And we get another oculi. Oh no, it's our first one. So this is a good opportunity to take a look at oculi. So oculi are gems that you find throughout the game that can be equipped in one of 3 slots. weapon, armour and accessory. When you have lots of them, you can also use this menu to craft them, but we've only got one for the moment, and we're not going to see that many in the demo anyway, so I'll leave that to you to find for yourselves. So, checking the weapon slot, we can see at the bottom, Rough Emerald adds lightning damage to melee attacks. Lightning is strong on mortar. So that really highlights that enemies have elemental strengths and weaknesses, both in their attacks and in your capability to damage them. So bear that in mind as you equip Oculi throughout the game. That's in the weapon slot. In the armour slot it has a completely different effect. Instead it increases our resistance to earth damage by 8%, and in the accessory slot it increases our maximum magic points by 2. But I'm going to be doing some melee attacks with Aurora, so using that sword, so I'll equip it here, and there we can see it is equipped. So if I skip back and run again, here we can see skills. It's the complete pause menu, party, where you can select different characters in your party. That doesn't really apply quite so much in the demo, where you only have Finn, but of course throughout the main game there are many more companions who will join. So we have skills there, and of course the number indicates we have 10 skill points that we can spend, so we better do that. So here we come to the skill trees. The slash attack here is the starter, and so what we can see here is the skill tree branching out in 3 directions: up, down and to the left. So this one's already been taken for us. Now unfortunately skill trees haven't been organised, so we have starlight here on this tree going to the left. As we see that it says on the right, a flash of light targeting a single dark creature. But if we go to the downward arm, then we see another light attack. So it's kind of strange. I would have thought that they would have developing light attacks on, say, this arm, maybe have health and armor protection on this arm, and melee attacks and the like on this arm. But instead they're all jumbled together, so you really need to kind of check out where you're going and what you want to do. Now, starlight attack could be useful, strong against dark, so we'll maybe take that one. And there's an opportunity to boost our defense skill on this tree, so I think we should get that. Defense always useful. More a chance to increase our dodge capabilities. And I could go for the light ray down there, but I think what I'm going to do is keep pursuing this arm to see if I can get slash all. And that gives you the opportunity to simultaneously attack all the enemies on screen with a single melee attack at once. So can we get there? Hey, we've got there. So we'll back out of there. Here you see the Oculi menu, where we were, the inventory. So here are all our potions. It's quite strange because quests will appear in your inventory as well, not in their own menu. So they'll appear, as a little piece of parchment. So it kind of seems strange, again, that it's thrown in there. And for the full game, there's Map of Lemuria. It's greyed out in the demo, and that's enables us to fast travel. There are confessions, where you find little bits of parchment throughout the game, which give you some kind of idea of this kind of deeper story behind what's going on. Options, quit to main menu and exit to Windows. We don't want either of those, let's play the game instead. So we'll go back out into the village. So we have houses, but there's nothing much else around. We can always try talking to a crow, but I think you can guess what will happen. Caw. Caw. So good they said it twice. Now there's a signpost here with an EQ again, so let's press E. That's our interact button, and we move on into another part of the village. Things are getting a bit odd. That crow's got a bottle and is hiccuping. There's another one with a wig on. So what's in here? Okay, there's a crow passed out on the bar. That one's fallen asleep on the floor, head first. So, whatever they're drinking, it's pretty good stuff. And if we keep going left, there's another building there. And if you needed another cue that something weird is going on, if you really haven't got it yet for some reason, then here's one teaching a class holding a pointer. Something really weird is going on. Let's see if we can find out a bit more about that. Let's fly over. It's a beautiful effect, isn't it? Capability, or the way in which Aurora's hair streams red like that. And it's not so clear in this village, but when you're playing Child of Light, if you take a look at the demo, then don't forget it's a very vertical game. Don't treat it like a regular kind of 2D side-scrolling platform game. There is a lot of height to it at times, so bear that in mind. And here we see somebody crying, and he's got an exclamation mark over his head, and anyone who plays games at all knows what that means. He's got a quest or something, so let's speak to him. And here we see Aurora asking if he's seen the sun or the moon. This is Aurora's crest. She's trying to find the sun or the moon. And he appears to have mistaken her for a princess, which Aurora isn't happy about, as we can see from that pouty face. What we can see here as well is the way in which the dialogue rhymes. So especially here, it's particularly obvious: demise and supplies. All the dialogue that takes place in the game rhymes, even when characters are kind of interacting with each other. It'll always rhyme. And the only exception to that is another companion called Rubella that you encounter in the full game. But I won't say any more about her, you can find out for yourself. And we can see here that all this guy's family and friends have been transformed into crows by the Dark Queen, and he's sobbing at every turn. And Aurora there we see trying to encourage him along. And that's partly the job, of course, of every hero in a game, but Aurora's not a perfect hero herself. She at times falls into despair herself because the journey seems insurmountable, and she is still just a girl, so at times it's all too much for her. And it's really good that the game shows you that perfect heroes are never very much fun. So let's interact with the world. And here we can see that Finn is a spellcaster, which could come pretty useful. And he's joined the party. So here we are, ducking down into the well. Very quick load there, as you see. And we see Igniculus checking things out for us. He's had a look around, can't see anything. And here we drop down into the dark. And it's here that Igniculus can be really useful, because you can see he lights up the whole environment, so we can use him to navigate. So here's a real practical use. Now you should be able to hear Court of Pirate's beautiful music as well. I don't know how Ubisoft found her, but I think we should all be grateful that they did find her. Her music is beautiful throughout the game. Unfortunately it's not included as DLC with the main game, but you can find it from her website, so check her out. It's well worth it if you enjoy the music. And here you can see another one of these little trees, which can boost our energy bar for Igniculus, because as we use his capabilities we can see the energy bar dropping here, so keep an eye on that as you go. Keep dropping down, and as you can see, those little motes of light that we can collect can also boost or restore your hit points and magic points, so they're worth checking out because of that as well. Now here what we can do is put the Igniculus to really good use. That spider's potentially in the way. So if we left click on the spider there, it's blinded. Now we can move through safely. And immediately again, opportunity to put him to good use. This item here is completely accessible. It's in a little cavern of its own tucked away, but we can use Igniculus to get hold of it. We open it up and inside is a rough emerald, another oculi. So let's see what we can do with that. So I think I'll equip this one in the armor slot for good protection. I'm going to be using Aurora as a melee character, so it makes sense. And here we see we have 6 skill points to spend. And now those aren't Auroras, they're fins, as we see here. And there's his little head. So he's already got a lightning attack, a fire attack, and a water attack. So the opportunity is there to develop those. So if we see we've got the wildfire symbol there, we can see another fire symbol down here. So this one has a spell power of 24, this one of 34, so we can tell it's obviously a more powerful attack. So you can develop existing attacks as you go throughout the game, but as I said, they're all jumbled, so you have got to navigate your way through it at times. So, what should we take? We'll take that one, that gives him a magic point boost. Don't really need to increase his strength that much. But over here we've got Knock, which is his melee attack, and it's got a short casting time, so it can come in useful. I'll show you casting times in a minute. So that'll come up in combat. And see, we're in this kind of narrow kind of fissure here, but now it all opens out again. So even though it is a 2D game, we're given this kind of illusion of depth as well. So they do make good use of the art, and because we can see it blurring out into the background, out of the depth. And again, a Q here has appeared here to help us attack from behind. So here's something nasty. So if we attack from behind, we'll blind it first with Igniculus. We approach from behind, and there we are. So here we are into the combat scene. So we have a timeline here, which the characters move down until they get to the point here, which it says cast. And it's there that your characters can choose, well, you can choose what to do with your characters. You then move through the casting phase. If you're hit in the casting phase, then you get interrupted and shunted back down the timeline, and you in fact have to start again. So you're constantly balancing the desire to get an attack off and making judgments against whether you'll actually be able to get that attack off before you're interrupted. But of course the good news is that you can interrupt the monsters in exactly the same way. And then as you move down the casting phase, you get to the end, and it's then that your selected action triggers. So we've got Act here, Potions, Flee, which we don't want to do, Party, where you can swap characters in and out of combat. So in the full game, you can at any time in combat bring in a new character. The game lets you do that, which is cool. And here we have the Act, so I think we'll take the Act option, and we have here all our different Act opportunities. There's Slash, which is a melee attack. There's Slash All, which will attack both creatures. Starlight, Defend, and we're back to Slash again. Now Defend is useful because if Aurora was going to get attacked before she could get an attack off, you could instead select Defend. It happens instantaneously, it protects you from damage, and you then get bumped down back down the timeline, but you come out of it very fast. So it's well worth considering. So we can see Aurora's way ahead of all the other monsters down here, so we can afford to take her Slash All attack, which has a very long casting time, but nevertheless we should get it off in time, so we'll select that. and here is Finn. So we have the same kind of options here with him. Potions, flee, party, what we want to act, and we see here all his different attacks. So we've got melee, the wildfire, monsoon, lightning strike, defend, and his knock. But I think what we're going to do is take wildfire and we'll attack this creature here. So as you can see down the bottom here, the monsters are moving up the timeline. But what we can do is slow that. So we see the spider icon is ahead, so that indicates the spider's catching up with us. But if we hold Igniculus over the spider and press the left mouse button while the timeline is active, then it will slow the spider's progression down the timeline. So it's a good opportunity to manage who is able to cast first. So it may enable you to get an attack off which you wouldn't otherwise be able to manage. So I think we'll see if we can slow the spider down. Now as you saw there, Aurora's attack brought up vulnerable to lightning on this creature. And unfortunately they're getting their attacks off before I can do anything. But of course we put the oculi on Aurora's melee attacks, so it immediately exposes that this creature is vulnerable to lightning. And that means what we then saw from Finn's attack was that this one is vulnerable to fire. So that really tells us a lot. We now know how to focus our attacks. Now as you can see here, this creature, the spider, is about to get its attack off. It's very close to the end of the timeline. So rather than try and get Aurora's attack off, what I'm going to do instead is defend. And it then gives Aurora a real boost down the timeline. So Finn's turn to attack. We know from his first attack that this creature here is vulnerable to fire. So we'll do exactly the same thing again. Wildfire, target that creature. And we now know that this one is vulnerable to lightning. So instead of doing the slash all attack, which I did last time, I'll leave Finn to take care of this one, and I'll take the regular slash attack, the basic melee attack with the sword, and I'll target the spider instead. Let's see what happens. And again, vulnerable to lightning came up. And there's vulnerable to fire, and that one's cocked it. We'll see if we can slow the spider some more. Not enough. That doesn't matter. And again, we already know it's vulnerable to lightning, so let's just keep doing what we're doing. Now if we look down Finn's spells, we see he has lightning strike, so it's perfect for the spider. Let's keep slowing it just in case. And that one's got it as well. We get our XP, and it's really through combat that you gain experience points, which all count towards improving your skills. And Finn immediately breaks down. He gets through combat, but he's scared. He's a coward. And the uncomfortable truth is, a lot of people are cowards. That when the pressure is on, a lot of people aren't the heroes of action films. A lot of people either buckle or they're only able to get through it for a short term. You see the dialogue keeps on rhyming, even though it's multiple characters speaking. So we see there Aurora encouraging Finn to pick himself up, but as I said earlier, Aurora's not perfect herself, so you do see her break down at times and need encouragement. This is in many ways a girl's adventure tale. It has RPG elements, but don't get hung up on how you classify it, just enjoy it. So we'll keep moving around. You see up here Aurora's kind of low on hit points, so we'll see if we can get some back from those. Yeah, we got a little boost to our hit points from these motes of light. And here we see our first puzzle in the game. And the game gives us a cue of how to, well, of course not how to do the puzzle, but of how to interact with it and see if we can work it out. And Finn breaking down again. Here we have Igniculus giving us a cue to an event that took place earlier in the game. So that's earlier in the main game, of course, not in the demo. So I'm not going to do the puzzle, I'll leave that to you to explore in the demo yourselves. You really should check out the demo, it's free, so there's no reason not to, it doesn't cost you anything. And the full game itself is only £12. I think that translates to 15 US dollars. So for what you're getting, I think that's a good deal. And what really strikes me about Child of Light is what Ubisoft have achieved by paring it down. They haven't tried to make another AAA game, and it really shows. They've made it more focused. They've kept an eye on what they can do and not do and achieve with this game. And I think that's an approach that maybe some independent developers releasing onto Steam through a greenlight process or whatever would do well to bear in mind. It is possible to overreach. It is possible to bite off more than you can chew. And we see here the benefit of not doing that, of making something that's a little more focused. Now if you want to check out my blog at GameStoryLife.com, I should have the link in below. You'll see there I've done the full review for Child of Light, and I've given it a 9 out of 10 with the mythical rating. So the mythical really highlights the kind of emphasises the quality of this game. It indicates that it's a very good game. It's one that I can happily return to over a long period of time. It's not perfect. There are a few flaws here and there, as we saw with the skill trees, for example, with them being a bit jumbled. I think it would make sense to have those more organised. So it's not perfect, but let's face it, it's a beautiful game with beautiful music, and it's at a good price for everything that it offers, so it more than earns its 9 out of 10 rating as far as I'm concerned. So thanks for watching, I hope you liked it. I hope it's helped you take a good look at Child of Light, and I'll see you again sometime soon, I hope. Take care and have a good day.